I think the most fun thing would be to see him moved, because I'm really curious to see what 2 months of the best player in baseball is worth. And like best player in baseball to a level that we have never seen traded in the middle of a season like this. When did that Babe Ruth deal happen? That was in the offseason. And he didn't end up doing both ways, right? Like Ohtani's doing it at the same time.
Yeah,
so
Babe Ruth was
we've never
kind
seen
of a pitcher for a little bit, but was never the kind of two-way guy that Shohei is now.
We've never seen this. And he is kind of at the apex of his hitting career this year with the numbers he's putting up and still doing a great job on the mound. I just want to see it happen just because I am really curious what the package would look like. How much would one team give up knowing that it may not end up being a longer relationship than 2 or 3 months? I mean, hopefully whoever's doing it knows they're going to October. It'd be a fool's errand to do the Ohtani deal without being pretty sure you're making the playoffs. But it would be really fascinating to see, because the team might also look at it and go, yes, it's going to be an exorbitant cost to do this thing in the offseason and sign him for however many years. But maybe getting him into our culture for a couple of months, seeing a playoff run could entice him to just be more inclined to stay. So there are some, I think, strategic elements to this as well. I don't know if the Angels can trade him yet. I don't think they can commit to trading him yet. It's one that's going to go down to the wire because they're going to want as much info as they can about their own playoff hopes before doing it. I hope he gets moved, though, because it would be an absolute, I think it'd be good for baseball almost to have that level of intrigue to see a player like that move and what might happen. We should get Ohtani in the playoffs. Like, we deserve that as baseball fans. So I want to see it happen, but I don't know if it's going to, Andy. Like, that is a tough pill to swallow if you're the Angels, to say, we know this is the best player in baseball and maybe the best baseball player the world has ever seen with the way he's playing right now at this moment. How do you trade a guy like that when you're within striking distance of the postseason?
By the way, Babe Ruth was dealt to the Yankees in the offseason. It was not a deadline deal. He was traded for $100,000.
Yeah,
which
good deal.
in today's money is about $1.5 million. So
that's a great deal. That money,
wonderful deal for the Red Sox.
Hope they didn't spend it all in one place.
And nothing bad happened after that to the Red Sox. I'm pretty sure, right?
No curse or anything like that.
Nothing at all.
That took like 100 years to fix. Anyway,
they got their championships. They're fine. All right, I agree with you. We've learned enough from the last decade of Major League Baseball, or at least maybe the years before Shohei Ohtani's rise, that sometimes the best stars in the game are shackled down to these teams that just don't know how to get into the playoff picture. And the Angels are part of this. Like, Mike Trout has never really established himself as a playoff guy because the Angels have never been there, and we have not seen Mike Trout on the biggest stage most of the time. So, yeah, from the league's perspective, I'm sure everybody in the league is like, oh, please get Shohei out of Anaheim and onto a team like either, I don't know if it's the Yankees or the Rangers or the Dodgers, the Astros. I don't know who it is. But
I know who it is.
Who is it? Is the Yankees?
I know who it should be. He should be a Yankee for at least the next couple of months to see what might happen there, because the Yankees otherwise don't have a lot of star power going right now. But you get Aaron Judge back, Shohei Ohtani on the same team. That'd be like having Ohtani and Mike Trout on the same.
Oh, wow. How's that worked out so far?
That. No, listen, and Trout's injured too, so that's what's tricky. I think knowing the Trout situation is up in the air, the Angels should trade him, I think, for their own benefit. Because I just don't. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for these owners of other teams. Imagine Steve Cohen, like, what's it to him? He's like, what's it going to take to get Ohtani? I want to win. He could easily go to the Mets. The Yankees should be in. The Dodgers have sort of been frugal the past offseason to gear up for a possibility like this one. I just think the Angels aren't going to do it. Artie Moreno is not going to do it again. He did it with Albert Pujols, right? That big old contract. What did it ever get him? Nothing. I think he's kind of over it at this point, and another team is going to overpay. And so just get some big-time prospects back to give your franchise a chance, Angels. That's what they should do. I don't think they'll do it, though. I don't think he's got the guts.
I sure hope he does. And the thing is, like, you talk about teams like the Mets. Like, the Mets should not be in on it now. They should wait, right? They should wait till the end of the season to then pounce and give the highest bid or give as high of a bid as they can for a guy like Shohei. So it limits the pool a little bit because really the only teams that we're talking about maybe ponying up for this big-time price in the next few weeks are teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers. And maybe the list ends there. Like, I don't know who else.
Does it have to be, if you're a team that would trade for him, do you have to be in play for signing him in the offseason, or would you just do it strictly to say, we might win a World Series if we do it now, and it's worth the prospects to know he's going to be a rental?
Don't you need to maybe be both?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I don't know.
That's because the thing.
If you need to do both, the Yankees and the Dodgers might be the full list. Yeah, but if you're only just saying, hey, he might help us win a World Series and those flags fly forever, then the list can expand.
So is it so then are the Braves in on it? Do they not even care about re-signing him?
Why not?
For the next a few years or so?
Why not? I don't think they'll do it, but I would love to see something like that.
Is Arizona in on it? I don't know.
If I'm Arizona, hell yeah, I'm in on it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got to be smart with the prospects, but if it's on the table, I'm throwing my hat in the ring if I'm one of those teams. Yes. Tampa Bay, bring it on, baby.
That would open
Imagine that.
Gosh.
Imagine that for the Rays. 10,000 attendance per night.
10,000 attendance per night.
House.
One of the worst payroll. The entire pitching staff is probably making less money than what they would give Shohei Ohtani in a year.
For sure.
If they decided to re-sign him for 2024.
That'd be so funny.
No,
they're not going to re-sign him. It's just a 2-month deal, and they know it going in. But they're like, we're so good at drafting, it doesn't matter. We'll just take our shot right now because
2 months and then
you rent him. You go in knowing it's a rental because they're not going to be in the market to sign him. But how crazy would that be? Like you get every 6th day because he pitches every 6th instead of 5th.
Yeah.
You get a full house to watch Ohtani pitch, but they should be there anyway to watch him hit. I don't know. I think it would be interesting. But you're right. The list is probably rather limited to the teams that would at least entertain signing him in the offseason. But I'm just saying it doesn't have to be that way. And if you're the Angels, it would be nice if it weren't, because then you open yourself up to potentially more opportunities to move him. I just don't think they could stomach it. I don't think they could take the PR hit of, we just traded maybe the best player in the history of baseball. I just don't know if they could do it.
Which then is, and then you're talking about, well, are these teams that are on that potential list, do they have the prospect capital that they're willing to part with to then make that type of deal? Because I would ask the entire world as far as prospects. No, you don't get to keep any of your top guys at all.
But why? But it's a rental. It's still a rental. When we talk about other rentals, we don't talk in those terms. We don't talk about that type of deal for a rental ever. I know this is unique, but that's what's so fascinating about it. Where does the line get drawn on, hey, he is still a rental player, he's only under contract till the end of the year, versus nobody's ever done in baseball what he's doing? How do you square that circle? I don't know, and that's why I would love to see him move, because then we would have an answer to the otherwise unanswerable question of, what's it worth? A couple of months of this guy, what's it worth?
Yeah, who knows? 875-KTGR, give us a call or a text. But for me, from the Angels' perspective, their farm system's kind of a joke right now, and so if I have that huge trade piece, one of the biggest trade pieces ever, I try to do it, and I find the right trade partner, a place where I know that I'm going to get some top guys back so that I can try and rebuild this thing.
And what's going to get Shohei Ohtani on his next contract? Money, right? If you're the Angels and you do want to have him,
I don't think you should discount how much Shohei Ohtani wants to win, though. Because if it's all about money, I think the Angels can keep him.
Well, so you don't think he would ever, let's say he finishes the year with the Angels, you don't think if it's a comparable contract, you don't think he'd stay with them? Like he'd resign if they were offering the big bucks?
I wouldn't think that it's a surefire thing, because, and Jeff Passan has pointed this out, ESPN's reporter, watching Shohei Ohtani at the World Baseball Classic, those are absolutely the biggest games that he has played in at the World Baseball Classic. And it also appeared to be the most fun that Shohei Ohtani was having playing baseball. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
I think winning baseball matters to Shohei Ohtani. So I don't. He's going to look for a really high dollar amounts and probably the highest. But I do think that the right fit, a championship culture, matters to him. So
okay, so if that's the case, and you believe that as well as the Angels, like if you're in that front office and you believe, dude, we might not be able to keep him anyway because he will have better chances to win elsewhere in his own mind, then I think you have to trade him because of what you said. The farm system is terrible there, and they need to try and build that up in other ways. So I think they should trade him. I don't know if they will have the sense to do it. It's not an easy thing to do, to trade the best player, but I think with where they're at, I'm hoping they lose for a week straight right now because that would clarify it, right? The reason you don't do it is because what if we make it in and he impacts every single game by pitching in some of them and hitting in the others, and maybe we do make a run to the World Series if we get in. But they need to know that that's not going to happen. So root against the Angels now for the next week or two if you want to see him moved. Because that could be the thing that solidifies it if there's any chance of having it happen.
Nasty business.
And they're in a terrible situation. Like, they're in the worst situation for a team that is trying to decide whether they're a contender or not. They're right at 500. They're like a game under, and it's an impossible decision to make.
There's too many teams in the AL to think that they're going to be able to leapfrog all of them. I don't think there's a chance of them making the playoffs unless Trout comes back real quick. But I don't know if that's necessarily a guarantee.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're fourth in the division. So, it's a long way to go, and there could be a logjam towards the end. So, if I were me, I would entertain the best offers that I can get and see what happens. But would you trade Shohei Ohtani if you were the Angels?